A fresh round of security commitment between Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo against North Korea's nuclear and missile threats. Now, how effective will this trilateral effort be in tackling North Korea issues? Let's turn to Dr. Mark Barry this morning. Welcome back.
Good morning, Dami.
Dr. Barry, the national security advisors of the three countries reaffirming their commitment to strengthen cooperation against North Korea's provocations. What's your take on the discussions as a follow-up meetup of the Camp David summit between the leaders of the three countries?
Well, that's exactly right. It was maybe the most important follow-up since the August Camp David agreements. And I think more significant than having the foreign minister level or defense secretary level meet, which they have, is the fact that the national security advisors fully reflect their bosses. In this case, President Biden and President Yoon and Prime Minister Kishida. So it's the next best thing to their bosses being there. And I think the most important thing that came out of it is continued commitment to do real-time intelligence sharing, which has a very practical and significant impact in times of emergency.
Definitely. And also one of their agreements included tighter trilateral cooperation against the regime's illicit cyber activities that fund the North's nuclear and missile development. Dr. Barry, how effective will that pledge be actually?
Well, it's much like the problem with sanctions and North Korea's sanctions invasion. You have to have everybody on board. And obviously, China and Russia are really not on board. And North Korea has been the most successful it's ever been at cyber theft, crypto theft, and it does it to make money. It's not doing it merely to just grab intelligence. And most of it is being done out of China. And it's being done with the willful cooperation, not just the tacit cooperation of China. And presumably with the theft of cryptocurrency, it's the use of Chinese banks. So unfortunately, it's important to state the policy. It's important to show that everyone's in lockstep. But I think China controls the levers of that kind of activity, and it's in their interest not to stop it right now. So that's the sad truth.
Definitely. We have to talk about also how the U.S. is following North Korea issues. Kurt Campbell, in his Senate nomination hearing last week to become Deputy Secretary of State, he expressed his worries and concerns that, quote, North Korea in the current environment has decided they are no longer interested in diplomacy with Washington. Now, how significant is this admission by a senior U.S. official? What do you think?
Well, this is what other people have been saying who are supportive of the president's overall policies. But the very question that was asked by a Democratic senator during his Q&A session right after his prepared testimony to Kurt Campbell reflected the fact that many of the Senate Democrats are not on board with a policy that does not actually have any kind of diplomatic dialogue. And Campbell admitted that basically since the end of 2019, and particularly it's been all downhill since the Hanoi summit of February of 2019, but since 2020, there's been little to no contact. In fact, he's even admitting that maybe there's not any real contact with the New York Channel, with the DPRK mission in New York. So this is a terrible admission. And it just goes to show that maybe people such as that Democratic senator have a point. But unfortunately, as many people following North Korean affairs are saying, is that the North has probably given up on the United States with being willing to cooperate and being willing to make significant concessions and meet them halfway. And unfortunately, that means the future does not bode well over the next term of whoever's the next president.
Right, Dr. Barry, before I let you go shortly, we have to talk about Seoul's unification minister's comment last week that leader Kim Jonguns is in a hurry to showcase his daughter Jue to hint she could be his successor. Is that so? Based on what evidence? What do you think?
Well, she's made 19 appearances, 16 of them with high-level military. Her garb, her costume has gotten better each time. I mean, she looks certainly world-class clothed. And it makes her look older than she probably is, because for all we know, she's only maybe 11, maybe
Right.
12 at best. But the thing is, we don't know if he really has a son. And maybe he has a son, but much like Kim Jong-un's older brother, all the son is interested in is listening to Eric Clapton's music. And that's not the kind of person who can become the next leader. Also, Jule, if indeed that's her real name, because we mostly get that name from Dennis Rodman, if she ends up becoming the successor, well, at least you could say she looks like her dad. And her dad had made a special effort to look like his grandfather. So it conveys legitimacy. But at the same time, those who question whether a patriarchal society like North Korea is capable of having a woman leader may not be wrong, but time will tell. But the real question we all should be asking is this possibly convey anything about some uncertainty about Kim Jong-un's health?
Definitely, because it did take some time for the leader Kim Jong-un and his sister Kim Yo-jong to be seen in public. All right, Dr. Barry,
Yes.
thank you as always for your insight. You have a great evening.
Okay, you too. Thank you so much.